one of the things when I look at the parable, the merchant, he sold something so that he could buy something. And the stuff that he sold had lesser value than the stuff that he bought, which was the pearl. And in this, Jesus clearly calls it the kingdom of heaven. So the kingdom of heaven, as you mentioned, James, was spoken of in various different ways throughout Jesus' ministry and in other parables. But they always had to do, the kingdom of heaven had to do with an alignment of spiritual values, our values with those of heaven. And uh, they involve certain spiritual realities which are reflected in our behaviors and in our choices of life. Earlier, when Santiago and I were talking, and you touched upon this, James, not allowing the material to transcend our spiritual ambitions. So the person who has bought the pearl sets boundaries
Hmm.
as to what they will, from this temporal life, to intrude upon their spiritual life. Once we value that kingdom um, of the heavens and all of its spiritual implications, then we don't chase every dollar and ruin our health in doing it. We don't sacrifice family relationships. We don't forfeit social service. We don't compromise who we are as an individual, compromise our ethics and our duties, and rationalize them away when uh, a shorter path to accomplishing something may involve things that are dishonest or underhanded. And when we look at Jesus' life, he was truly aligned. He wasn't an ascetic or lived in a monastery. He worked with his hands, he engaged with people, and yet he could say throughout all of his travels, my food is to do the will of my Father who sent me. And while saying that, he led a very practical life of service. Uh, Santiago had mentioned that the end of his life, he, endured an excruciating death on the cross, which was really a reflection that not only did he give the parable, but he himself bought the pearl of great value too, and sacrificed everything, including his mortal life, to attain all the that was going to be extended to him through his faithfulness to divine choices.
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah. I like that way that you frame it. Can you share, James, on that?
oh yeah, yeah. That last phrase that you used on faithful. Um, you have to go back. This parable uh, appears further along in your entry book. The first place that it appears is in the paper 140, the ordination, when he's speaking to the apostles, and it goes like this: the right to enter the kingdom is conditioned by faith, personal belief. The cost of remaining in the progressive ascent of the kingdom is the pearl of great price, in order to possess which a man sells all that he has. So he mentioned this. He spells this out to the apostles uh, right after the ordination, and then it's a couple hundred pages later when it pops up as a parable when he's speaking from the boat uh, to the multitude that are back on the shore. But that's what the important thing, that the right to enter the kingdom is conditioned by faith. So that's the key, uh, and it's free. Everything of spiritual value is free, but we have to make that choice. Again, it's decisions, and more decisions. It also tells us the kingdom of heaven is neither a social nor economic order. It is an exclusively spiritual brotherhood of God-knowing individuals. Um, there's all kinds of information. There's a whole paper on the kingdom of heaven, but here's one that I like because it's the divine within. Uh, it says does guide us, and in the adjustment of thought operates to put a preference upon the altruistic impulse as leading to the goal of human happiness and to the joys of the kingdom of heaven. So that I think ties in very well with what Don was talking about.
Well, I'm glad that James mentioned the two areas where the pearl was mentioned, because we had a little discussion with this before you came, James. Um, I like where you cited that Jesus mentioned that the right to enter the kingdom is conditioned by faith. So, in a sense, that's like, okay, maybe you've got the pearl, but it's not like you get the pearl. You can acquire the pearl and then allow it to lose its luster, so to speak. And that second passage there, where it says that we have to um, be progressive. It's not like, okay, I got the pearl, I'm all set. I'm going to just kick back and do nothing. Um, we have to continue to progress, and this is one of the things we were talking about, is constantly taking a check and see where we are, because the challenges of living in this world can sometimes start to intrude where, as we were mentioning before, maybe we're not praying as much as we used to, keeping that divine connection, or taking time to meditate. Maybe we're neglecting people that need our attention and we need to care for. So it's not like we buy the pearl and that's it. It's a constant navigating and negotiating life to keep that pearl, hang on to it, and not let it get away from us.
Yeah, totally. It's a constant. It's not that you reach the end or you reach the goal. It's that you're constantly reinventing and not reinventing, but you're constantly reaffirming. Sorry, the value of the pearl. And it's very interesting because we've seen a lot of times, and when great people and people of knowledge, wizards, and get really enlightened, if they misuse that power, if they turn that pearl into something of their own advantage, they lose that agency, they lose that that magic. And it's something that we all have to do. It's something, when you find that pearl, you have to always give that pearl, share that pearl, but not abuse that pearl.
Well, I think we're circling around in a really cool way here in this discussion about uh, the import and the meaning of this parable. I would quote something else here from Jesus, where he says, "I come proclaiming faith, the gift of God, as the price of entrance into the kingdom of heaven." So again, it all circles back to faith. And like Don was saying, you enter the kingdom by grace. We're told that's free. But in order to stay in the kingdom, you do have to bring forth the fruits of the Spirit. You have to maintain that flame of faith. You have to keep it burning, like Don was saying. And there's a lot of ways to keep it burning, but serving our brothers and sisters is probably the best way. But anyway,
Exactly.
it's again that's this faith and joy. It also says we go on in the joy and liberty of the kingdom of heaven. So over and over we find this. We find the joy coming back as the key understanding to the meaning of what's in the kingdom of heaven, and it's easy to overlook, especially with evolutionary religion. Everything gets all solemn, and it gets sort of buried in ritual, sometimes doctrine. We understand that, but it has
Yeah.
to be revisualized, and it also has to be prioritized. What we call happiness is more often referred to as joy, which is it's a step above happiness. Happiness we can have, when you get a present, or you're having a nice day. But spiritual joy is something on a whole other level. It's transcendent, and we get there with our faith, and we have to stay there through
Definitely.
communion. The divine within. The divine within is always bringing us back to remember that faith is the key to the entrance of the kingdom of heaven. That's why we've got our buddy within, always guiding us.
Exactly, and that's the purpose. Yeah, and that's the whole point of this podcast is that there's this divine within, this spark. And I mean, we're talking about the pearl, and this is just a component. You're finding the piece of the pearl and finding that treasure. And how do you find it? You find it by using your divine within, by finding that which has the value, which has whatever that you're willing to give, everything in the world that you have, all the material, like Don was saying, everything that you possess, you're willing to do without to get to that. And what really gives you and tells you what is the value is the divine within. And we were also talking that there's no point in feeding pearls to the swine, and it's always something that you have to keep in mind, that the pearls, it depends on who it is that sees the value in them.
Well, we were talking earlier about Santiago was talking about giving pearls to swine, and I think that kind of moves into a different parable of Jesus. Here, I think he was talking about sharing our spiritual treasures with someone that doesn't have the capacity to appreciate spiritual things. And when we do that, they can become mean or respond to us violently, negatively, condescendingly in some way. So the pearls of the kingdom, if we've bought the kingdom, if I were going to try to make some way to tie the two ideas together, it's that we would share our joy of having possessed that pearl with people that have the capacity to appreciate it. And those that don't have the capacity yet, because we never know what may happen with a person down the line, we just try to maintain peaceful relationships with them. I remember the occasion where Jesus was traveling and he was asked why he didn't go out of his way to share spiritual truths with this particular individual. And he responded that the person wasn't ready for spiritual things yet. You can't force them upon someone who's not ready for them. But Jesus didn't antagonize the man. He didn't belittle him. He was just kind to him and bid him a good day. So that, not casting your pearls before swine doesn't mean you go up, well, you're a swine, I'm not casting my pearls before you, because that would be totally the opposite of something Jesus would do. But internally, you should know, we learn how to navigate our negotiations with people.
Excellent point.
Perfect.
So what's the best way to open that channel of receptivity in somebody who's maybe doesn't have that that burning spark or that motive? Well, the way the Master did it was to tell everybody that they're a child of God, a beloved child of God, and that's a game changer, because so many of us go around, programmed that we're not worthy, that we don't deserve spiritual joy,
Yeah, exactly.
or happiness. But the gospel says, no, you are entitled to it, and it comes for free by grace, because you are a child of God. We are all children of God. Of course, that's the the fatherhood of God, the brotherhood of man equation that you can always tell people, well, if God is Father of all of us, that makes us all brothers and sisters. What that helps is it says that Jesus was in his ministry, he was trying to give people a superb self-respect, and I really like that
Yeah.
phrase when he. You can look it up. I'm paraphrasing, but the superb self-respect is what when you believe you have value, when you believe you have worth, that that it opens up a certain channel of receptivity where you can start to accept that the spiritual joy is your birthright by faith. That's again, you got to have the faith. That's the magic. Well, it's not really magic, but it tells us that faith unlocks the
It's the crucial component.
well, it unlocks the superhuman aspects of the divine within. It's almost like an equation. If you have faith, then it does unlock. It makes that connection between you and the divine within, your indwelling spirit. Makes it a better connection.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty good, guys. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to close now, but I really want you guys to keep. I mean, let's keep on doing this. Let's have another panel. Let's bring more parables. I mean, let's delve into this because I think we brought a lot of great insights. So, I mean, we're just putting a pause to this conversation. We're gonna be continuing this and expanding into other topics. So. I want to thank you guys for participating. I think it was there was a lot of things that we learned from this, of the value of a pearl, how you give value to that, the importance that it is to maintain that pearl, that it's not something that you attain and it just leave it there. It's something that you cultivate, and what you're willing to give, what you're willing. I don't want to say sacrifice because it's not a sacrifice. Once you realize the value of the pearl, you're willing to leave everything behind because that the value of this pearl just diminishes that value of other things that weren't really worth. Spiritual or eternal. So I think this is a very, very interesting parable. I mean, we've been sharing this. We'll continue this discussion. So thanks, James, for participating. Thank you, Don, for this time. It was a great pleasure to have you here, and we'll be diving into more information. And thank you, if you're out there and you like this, thank you for watching us. If, like I always say, don't share if you don't like it. Just do it if you do. Just like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends that you found these guys that were talking about interesting stuff. It's always good to share. And for this moment, we've come to an end. This is Santiago Kneeland. This is the Divine Within. Take care, carpe diem, and seize the day.